Top 10 Haunted Places in Indiana. French Lick Springs Hotel, French Lick. It was built in 1845 by Dr. Williams Bowles. Thomas Taggart, the mayor, purchased the property and added luxurious furnishings, marble floors, 2 championship golf courses, and started bottling spring water to sell. Thomas is said to haunt the grounds due to his devotion to the resort. He stays to make sure his investments are being taken care of. Staff and visitors smell phantom cigar smoke and see Taggart near the service elevator. His favorite place is the 6th floor. Guests have seen his spirit riding a horse down the hallway. The ghost of a former bellhop lingers around the hotel. Guests have been the bellhop pictured on the wall of the hotel and asked about him when no bellhop is on duty. Willard Library, Evansville. The Willard Library is known for the Grey Lady. There is even a live camera feed that allows spectators to watch for her to appear. Several employees and patrons have reported seeing her. Lecturers from the University of Southern Indiana say they saw her peering into water. A police officer responded to the security alarm going off, only to see 2 ghosts in the window of the library. Reports of the water turning on and off, smelling perfume, feeling cold, unexplained noises, books and furniture moving around, feeling an unseen hand touch on hair and earrings, and finding odd items in the library. Hanna House, Indianapolis. Built in 1858 by Alexander Moore Hanna. The house was placed on the Register of Historic Places in 1978. He married Elizabeth Jackson in 1872, and the couple only had 1 child together who was stillborn on March 16, 1875. The house sat empty after Hanna died in 1895, until Roman Oller bought the house and 21 acres in 1899. Oller passed the house down to his daughter, Romanna Oller Elder, her husband, Marion Elder and their 4 children. They lived there until the early 1960s. She maintained ownership but rented the house to John and Gladys O'Brien during the 1960s-1970s. The Hanna House was a stop for the Underground Railroad. Hanna provided a safe place for the slaves to hide in the buildings during the day. He would take them north by wagon at night. One night, Hanna had to hide slave people in his cellar while he was away. One of them accidentally knocked over a lantern, a fire broke out, and everyone died. Legend has it, Hanna buried the bodies in the basement to hide that he was part of the Underground Railroad. There are reports of unexplained noises, lights and electronic devices turning on and off, objects moving on their own, smelling burning candles coming from the attic where the staff lived and it's said they had an altar, smells of rotting flesh coming from the 1st bedroom at the top of the stairs and burning flesh coming from the cellar. A man in a black suit walks upstairs, a woman peeks out the window on the 2nd floor, and the apparition of Elizabeth's stillborn child is seen. The Story Inn, Nashville. Dr. George Story founded the village in 1851. It was a thriving village until the Great Depression where it became abandoned. Rick Hofstetter purchased the town in 1998. He found documentation of paranormal activity in the inn's guestbook. The Blue Lady is said to be Dr. George's wife. There are reports of her eyes being hypnotic blue and smells like cherry tobacco. She leaves behind items blue in color. The Blue Lady can be summoned. Request to stay in the garden room and turn the blue light to on and she will appear. Avon Bridge, Avon. Built in 1906 by engineer W. M. Dunn and it was double-tracked in 1908. Legend has it, a mother was walking on the tracks with her sick infant. On the way to the doctor, she tripped and they both fell to their deaths. The mother's wailing can be heard when you drive under the bridge. A drunk railroad worker slipped during construction and was buried alive in the wet cement. When the train goes over the tracks, his moans can be heard. 4 workers fell to their death into White Lick Creek. It's said their thuds and splashes can be heard in the creek. Steppe Cemetery, Morgan Monroe State Forest. The oldest gravestone in the cemetery is Isaac Hartstock. He was a veteran of the war in 1812 and he died in 1851. A fringe Christian cult, the Crabbites, used the cemetery for satanic rituals. A ghostly woman in black roams the cemetery looking to exhume the ghostly body of her dead child. The grave is located in the back of the cemetery. People still put toys on it. A tree stump near the grave is the place the woman in black is seen to be sitting and holding her baby. The stump is gone now. Whisper Estate, Mitchell. It was built in 1899 by Dr. John Gibbons and his wife, Jessie. He used the house as his office, working on the first floor. He and his wife often cared for and adopted orphaned and troubled children. One of them, 10-year-old, Rachel, set fire in the front parlor. She was badly burned and died from her injuries 2 days later. Elizabeth was an infant in their care and she died in one of the bedrooms due to unknown causes. Jessie Gibbons died of pneumonia in the same bedroom. Someone died in the upstairs bathroom and a young boy fell to his death from the front stairs. It is believed Mrs. Gibbons, Rachel, and Elizabeth have all remained at Whisper Estate, as well as many of the other people's spirits who perished there. Central State Hospital, Indianapolis. Originally, Central Indiana Hospital for the Insane. It opened in November 1848 and was built to treat psychiatric patients. In its prime, as many as 3,000 were under its care. It was renamed Central State Hospital and expanded with new buildings. Many patients were subject to verbal, mental, and physical abuse. Reports of disembodied voices, screams, an overwhelming feeling of dread is felt, and being touched and clothing pulled. Culbertson Mansion State Historic Site, New Albany. It was built by William Culbertson in 1869. The paranormal reports date back to 1977. Visitors have seen a strong puff of smoke followed by the strong scent of cigar smoke, seeing figures walking around, and lights turning on and off. A policeman answered the alarm going off. Him and the curator at the time did a walk through the house. When they were walking out, the policeman asked if they were going to get the woman in the building. The curator told the officer it was just them in the house. That policeman will not answer calls to the mansion anymore. Indiana University, Bloomington. A worker standing on scaffolding lost his footing and fell to his death on the stage below. A large pool of blood surrounded his body. They replaced the floorboards many times but the blood stains kept appearing, especially during at emotional or tragic moments during performances. Prior to World War I, a doctor that used to live in the building that houses IU Career Development Center would perform illegal abortions. He hid the body of the fetuses in the walls of the basement. He was arrested, posted bail, and returned home and hung himself from the spiral staircase. Phi Kappa Tau fraternity made the building home in the 1970s. During that time, a student fell into convulsions as he felt a small, cold hand on his shoulder. Mary Quick-Burney got into an argument with her painter, Wayman Adams, because he was not painting the way she wanted. He walked out, leaving the painting unfinished. Her hands are not painted. The painting was hung without it being completed. Mary died shortly after that but staff believe she has never left. Staff report smelling a candle that's been stuffed out. And when staff go to lock the 3 sets of doors in the room, the first one always gets unlocked before they can lock the last set. The Mandel family's oil painting hangs in the Lilly Library. The painting is of Mr. and Mrs. Bernardo Mandel and their daughter Eva Mandel. Eva died in a boating accident at the age of 27. An employee of the library, Emily, was reshelving books when she looked up and saw a woman. Emily moved on to the next aisle and when she looked back, the woman just disappeared. Emily had seen the ghost of Eva Mandel.